All right, welcome in to the college football betting episode here on I Said What I Said. I'm Brad Wakai. That's Tyson Gentry. Tyson, we're just going to dive right into it. We're getting into the picks, but first, here on Money Making Time, what we have to do is recap what happened in week 0. And folks, it was ugly. If you're following along with us last year, you know that it can get ugly. But we're pretty confident that we can turn things around. But let's go through this before we dive into the picks this season. Week 0, we kind of said it off the top. We probably want to pick your spots here. And so, of course, what do? I dive in and go 0 for 4 on odds every single game. But Florida State, Georgia Tech over 55.5 didn't get home. Montana State minus 13.5. This one hurt because without the defensive touchdowns that New Mexico had, they're covering. There's no doubt about it. SMU first half minus 14. They didn't get off the bus. That was a horrendous pick by me. And same with Hawaii, first half minus 23.5. Weather. Should have factored that in with the hurricane off the coast. But, what are you going to do? 0-4 in week 0, Tyson. You can talk through yours as well.
Yeah, I was way better than you this week. I was 0-3. I was sipping the Florida State Kool-Aid. I was all about Mike Norvell and the boys. Me and Nick Saban were penciling them into the playoff, and it was going to be awesome. And they didn't get off the plane. I was going to say the bus too, but they were over in Ireland. It was a tough look for the Seminoles this week. I was on Montana State as well. They looked really bad, kind of for 45 minutes of that football game, and then they had their spots. Should have known, man. We should have just known that this was a likely outcome. And then we were all over SMU together in the preview show, and we talked about all the conferences, and we talked about sleeper teams. Who do you think could make some noise? They get the win. They don't even get close to covering. They barely even scored enough points to hit what this would have been if they pitched a shutout. I mean, it was brutal. This looks like the stock market, dude. Everything's red.
Oh yeah, that's what happens sometimes, man. And so 0-7 for the show. We will kind of update you with the unit count, obviously down 7, but we have a spreadsheet. We keep track of everything. We bet these too. This is our money. So we're not just on here acting like we're pros and we're sharp or anything. We have this for fun. So before we get into the week 1 picks, though, Tyson, I kind of want to just talk through some things that I've noticed here, and it's kind of played into my handicapping, at least how I think about things going into this week. This is the first year of the headset communication in the helmet, so it's mirroring the NFL. We already know the clock last year was a huge thing with the running clock, not stopping after first downs. So a lot of this is mirroring the NFL. I love playing overs, and I think there has been edges there in the past. I'm not touching a single one this week because the fact that Georgia Tech and Florida State had the lowest possession count since 2020, lower than some service academies last year, is mind-blowing. We're getting NFL type of action here, so you got to consider that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe we were a little bit too bullish kind of on points being scored. We fell for the classic week 0 trap. We knew nobody was going to score points. We both came on here it's going to be a fun week. We were just excited, folks. And so, this week we're going to be doom and gloom. We got to throw some unders at you. We get some big favorites to cover some massive numbers. It was an interesting week 0. And by the way, you can use the headset, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You should. I think we learned that pretty quick here in week 0. You probably want to do that. Shout out Florida State. But, I think that's a change. We're still kind of figuring out what college football betting looks like after last year with the first down rule changing and all of these things. So bear with us as we just get our butts kicked by the books.
All right, let's get into it. Week 1 picks, and we're going to start off with each of our play of the week. I have 9 plays. Tyson has 7. So we're going to try to get back on the board firing quickly. My play of the week, Arizona minus 31. That's minus 108 here on DraftKings. So Tyson, I'm using some power ratings from 2 guys I really respect, and I'm kind of using that as a basis here. So I don't have an edge in terms of their power rating in this one. One makes this game at 29. One makes it 31.8. So there's not necessarily a numbers play on that front. But I think when I look at this matchup, Arizona is going to attack through the air and on the ground. Noah Fafita is back. Tedoroto McMillan is back. We saw Montana State have success against New Mexico through the air late and then be able to run just at a high level on the ground. Arizona has 3 guys, two transfers, one from New Mexico, funny enough, and one from San Jose State following Brent Brennan, who are really good on the ground. And they're still competing for a starting role here. Like, this is an extended training camp competition. So I'm going to roll with them here. And Tyson, last thing, week 0 teams facing other teams in week 1. So if you played in week 0, I should say, they're 34-60 against the spread since 2005. So I'm comfortable laying this big number.
Maybe college football should start scheduling some of these good teams to play in week 0, but that's neither here nor there. My play of the week, I'm going Oklahoma State minus 9.5. They're playing South Dakota State, FCS champions, one of the better FCS teams of all time a year ago. And a year ago, we had a discussion. I think that they might have been the best non-Power 5 team in the country. Like, it was between them and Liberty. For my money, it's not last year, folks. I think last year we get a game. This year, Oklahoma State's good. And I think that the books are a little bit nervous to kind of recognize that fact while also balance with Gronowski and the boys at South Dakota State. South Dakota State loses both the Janke twins to the NFL. They lose Isaiah Davis. It's harder to know what you're going to get from some of these FCS schools when it comes to depth. Maybe they have some guys that have just been waiting in the wings that are awesome, but maybe they don't. And that's where I'm leaning here. I think Oklahoma State has pretty big aspirations this year. And again, we're about to see it in 20 minutes ago with the kickoff with the North Dakota State Colorado game. These games don't matter for FCS schools for playoff seedings. They matter a whole bunch for the FBS schools.
I'm going to stay in the Sooner State. I'm going to go with the Oklahoma Sooners minus 42. Oh, yeah. I'm laying this minus 112 here on DraftKings. Now, this is the biggest power ratings edge that I gathered from the two systems that I'm using, the two numbers that I'm using. One has it at 50.5 and the other 44.5. These big numbers are scary with the clock. These big numbers are scary with the lack of possessions. But Tyson, Oklahoma, with Jackson Arnold at quarterback, who didn't look very good in the bowl game, I think they're going to try to get him confidence. Like, he's going to be playing this entire game. This offensive line is going to try to build some continuity. They're 5 new starters, haven't played with each other. I think they're going to play the whole game too. Like, this isn't one of those classic cases where it's like, oh boy, we're up by a lot. Let's just rest people. Like, I think they're going to use this as like a live scrimmage and try to get more reps for everybody. And plus, Brent Venables, he doesn't mind kicking the shit out of teams, man. I mean, did you remember what they did to poor Butch Jones in Arkansas State last year? 72-0. He's crying on the sideline. I mean, that was a murder scene. And you're playing Temple, who is literally might be the worst team at the Division I level. I think this could get really ugly here at home. I think Oklahoma State rolls. I'm laying the 42.
Yeah, they might only have to score the ball 7 times, and that's being genuine to cover 42. I didn't play this one just kind of out of fear, but I don't mind where your head's at all. Brad, this one here for me is something that I think you're going to like. Penn State minus 8.5. It's a West Virginia game. It's the same West Virginia game that we played a year ago, or minus 8, excuse me. There is something kind of funky going on with the way Penn State is being covered right now. Like, we all know that this is likely a top 10 football team in the country. We all know that this is a team that should make the college football playoff. Yet we're excited about West Virginia. For how old is Garrett Green? Like, we can't keep doing this with the same group of guys. I expect Penn State to come out and send a message. This is not your Penn State offense from 2023. And I think that they're going to try to score points and let everybody put some stuff on film. Just different things that your Ohio States and your Michigans and your Oregons and all these other Big Ten schools are just going to have to think about, because I think Penn State, they want to play in the conference championship game. You got to get it rolling quick.
Well, I'm with you. I'm playing Penn State minus 8 here on DraftKings. And, Tyson and I, we're shopping numbers this year, folks. We're getting the best numbers we can.
We're 0-7. What do you want from us?
Yeah, we're shopping numbers. And so DraftKings has this thing at 8. Listen, I'm buying the dip on this thing. This is way too low. I mean, this opened double digits. It got hammered down. It continues to drop. At some point, there's got to be some buyback. I mean, folks, it's not like this game and this line just opened a week ago. It's been all summer. Like, you've had plenty of opportunity to play this. And I think what's happening is a lot of people are hearing, ooh, West Virginia. We're not sure about Penn State. Oh, wait, didn't Penn State's offense suck last year? Oh, yeah. And it just keeps going and going and going, where at some point there's got to be a buyback. And for me, this is it, Tyson. Power ratings that I'm looking at, 11.75 is the number Penn State would be favored by for one and 8.85 for another. Like, Penn State is clearly the better team here. That's taking into account home field advantage with these numbers. That's where this line is putting this at. You're giving me 8 points. Penn State, we know, can score points late in the game so they can cover a number. It's something that James Franklin does.
He loves it.
He loves doing it. He loves putting the dagger in and making his boosters happy over in the state of Pennsylvania because they can legally bet. So at some point, this has gone too far. So I'm right there with you. I think -8 here on DraftKings. That's the point that you buy.
West Virginia is this year's Texas Tech, as if that makes any sense. That's kind of the way that I'm feeling. The next one I have here, I have Georgia to cover the spread, playing Clemson. It just moved actually to 12.5 on FanDuel. So we have it at 13.5 on the graphic here. But if you're listening, this number is probably going to change again. But right now it's sitting here at FanDuel -12.5, -105. I'm not scared of Clemson at all. I think that you could put just about any other team in the country in front of Georgia this weekend, and they're going to send a message. This is when Carson Beck's Heisman campaign gets off to a good start. This is when we get introduced to some of these skill position players, some of these guys we've been talking about all summer that are just ridiculous talents that people don't quite know about. And Brad, by the way, is Cade Klubnik scaring a Georgia defense? Is Dabo Swinney offense scaring a Georgia defense, or is this going to be, hey, remember what we did to Oregon? We're going to do it again.
Oh, my God. Well, Tyson, this is down to 12 here on DraftKings. So I'm going to give you 12 here just for show purposes.
It's an even pick 'em.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. It was 13.5 when we got on here. We're recording here on what's today, Tyson? Thursday?
29.
So, yeah, we're recording that, and it was 13.5, like 30 minutes before we hopped on here and started recording, and now it's down to 12. And I think I know why that might be, because this plays into my next play. I'm taking Clemson first half plus 7.5. Now, that's on FanDuel. I need to check to see if that's accurate now. So I'm going to do that. I'll explain why, and I'll see if the numbers are still out there. But, Tyson, I think the suspensions are coming, man, like for Georgia. They have had a noisy offseason where, I mean, people are getting suspended left and right. Travis Etienne might not be available for this one. On the flip side, Clemson, all they've heard is from people like you saying they suck. Oh, Dabo's done. Clay Klubnik's horrible. Well, I'll tell you what they're not bad at. That's playing defense. Like, they can play defense. Peter Woods is a monster up front. I think the reason why I'm taking them with the points in the first half, this to me is a game where Clemson's going to try to run the football with Phil Maffa. They're going to try to control this thing. Don't put Cade Klubnik in harm's way. And then use their defense. Bend, don't break. Allow them to tackle, rally, get after Carson Beck a little bit. This defensive line, I think they can get after him with 4. Like, it's one of the top units in the league. Plus, you have fast, athletic linebackers. So I really think that they got a shot here, Tyson. I wouldn't be surprised. I'll tell you this. If Clemson pulls off the upset, what do you think about that?
I think you're crazy. I don't think there's a shot. This is Georgia has replaced Alabama for me, as I don't care who they're playing week 1. I'm taking them by 30, and I'm comfortable with that. I just think that's the level that this program is right now. I got to update this. Sorry,
-130 here on FanDuel. You got to get this fast because it's under a touchdown on DraftKings. So we're releasing this tonight. I mean, you got to get on that.
It's moving. I just watched my Villanova Youngstown State bet go up in smoke, so that's maybe not the best omen for this next one here. I'm taking the Michigan Wolverines. You talk about, and they're sitting here at -20.5. Disrespect for Clemson. I think these Michigan guys feel. We won a national championship a year ago, and we're coming out, we're playing these guys week 1, and you don't think we can beat them by 3 touchdowns? I don't know if Michigan is going to have the same slow start blues that they had under Jim Harbaugh with Sherrone Moore. We'll see. They certainly did in the games that he was coaching, but again, as an interim, it's a little different than when you get to put your stamp on the program. I think that this Michigan team isn't going to win a national championship. I don't even really think they're going to make the college football playoff this year, but they don't have to care about that in week 1. I think that this team is going to come out, just be physical and control the clock enough to win by 3 touchdowns.
I'm going to stay in Big Ten country. I'm going Nebraska -27.5. That's -108 on FanDuel. Tyson, if there's one thing that I love betting week 1, it's getting sucked into Nebraska. It's something about the N on the helmet. It's something about those jerseys. I don't know. I normally just don't hate Nebraska, except for when it comes to week 1, that I'm all in. Now, here's why it feels a little bit better on my soul that I'm doing this. It's because Matt Rule's in charge now. We don't have to act like that slap Scott Frost is any good. We can buy into a good coach in Matt Rule. Now, when it comes to this game, not too much of an edge in the power ratings. They have it at 29.25 and 28.15 in terms of the spread, but it's still about 2 points of an edge. But I'm looking at Nebraska on the field here. They're 15th in returning production. UTEP is 102nd. This UTEP team is not very good. I think they're in for a rude awakening. And the people, I'm looking at this line, it may be right on it. Maybe it's 28 and it maybe lands by 4 touchdowns and Nebraska wins and covers. Folks, we got it by the hook. You got to get in this thing. I think this is a coming out party for Dylan Raiola. I think they're going to want to get him confident. They're going to make everything look good. And this is an opportunity to make a statement. Hey, it's not the Scott Frost Nebraska Cornhuskers. This is year 2 of Matt Rule. This is when we're going to win football games.
It's Matt Rule year 2. It's 10 wins, baby, everywhere. My next one is similar to a play that you had earlier. I'm going Arizona -7.5 first quarter spread against New Mexico. I hate numbers like this, especially in such short time periods. I just have a gut feeling that New Mexico season just went up in smoke in week 0. You pay somebody $300,000 to come into your building, you're up on them 17 points, and to lose the game the way that they lost the game is absolutely heart-wrenching or gut-wrenching, whatever the term is. They're broken right now, I think, and you're walking Ted McMillan into this thing. You're walking all these studs. I think that Arizona starts hot. This is a similar to – I'm going to get hooked. I know that, but I'm really excited for this Arizona offense, so I'm okay playing this. If they're going to score 14 points in the first quarter, and I don't think New Mexico is going to score.
Tyson, I'm calling my shot on the next one. Everybody's super excited about this team. Everybody's down on this other team. How about the Florida Gators pulling off the upset at home against the University of Miami? I mean, we're talking Miami goes to the portal. They're spending all this money. Cam Ward, just incredible. Oh, the Miami's going to compete for the ACC. Well, you know who's their coach? It's Mario Cristobal. You know where they can't have a hard time winning? It's on the road. Meanwhile, Florida, all they hear is their guys getting fired. I mean, at this point in time, a lot of these guys are Napier guys, transferred in, recruited in.
Sucks.
You think they're not going to want to fight for their coach? Plus, this is an in-state game at home at the Swamp to start things off. Plus 116. Tyson, I'll tell you right now, I'm looking at these power ratings. They got freaking Florida favored. They say Florida should be favored. This is the SEC. This isn't the ACC. This is real big boy football. So you're giving me that. You're giving me them at home. This is a hotly contested environment. Graham Mertz, doesn't have the edge and isn't quite the sexy name like Cam Ward, but he was effective last year. So give me the big boys from the SEC getting plus money here at plus 116 on FanDuel. Let's go.
That'd be awesome. And then we can get UCF to play them for a state championship just to prove us right, immediately on this UCF squad. My next one here, and again, this is a bit of a homer play, folks. I'm going LSU -4.5 against USC.
Got you
Brian
4 on
Kelly's
DK, baby.
4. Jeez Louise, I got to get it together. Brian Kelly starts slow. Brian Kelly doesn't start the year as well. Brian Kelly has lost to Florida State the last 2 years in week 1 matchups, some of these marquee matchups. I think Florida State for the last 2 years is a better team than this USC group walking in, and I think this LSU team might be a little better than Brian Kelly's had as well. I think that LSU knows the situation that they're in, and again, maybe a little bit of a sliding doors moment here. I think that LSU has playoff aspirations, and I think that USC fans think they do. I think Lincoln Riley understands the gravity of the situation. There's a reason that the number is 7.5, right? I mean, this isn't Caleb Williams walking through the door. This is Mason Moss?
Miller Moss?
Miller Moss. Jeez Louise. I'm all over the place.
One of the names.
Yes, it's Randy Moss and the USC Trojans. I like LSU 4.5. I think they win the game by a touchdown plus.
Well, there we go. I'm going to another big game. Texas A&M, I'm laying it. -2.5, -120, the juice on FanDuel. They're hosting Notre Dame. This is a line that flipped. Notre Dame started as the favorite. It flipped to A&M. Tyson, this offensive line for Notre Dame, I think, is in big trouble. I mean, their best tackle tore his knee or is out for the season with a major season-ending injury. They already lost Blake Fisher. They already lost Joe Alt. This is an inexperienced offensive line who has to face the monsters of Texas A&M on the front. Riley Leonard coming off injury, he's lucky he's still mobile. We don't even know if he's mobile. First of all, let's keep that in mind. We're not quite sure if that's the case. But the other angle here, Mike Elko is with Riley Leonard at Duke. Mike Elko is now at Texas A&M. You don't think he knows how to stop him? You don't think he knows how to shut him down? He brought a bunch of guys from Duke with him. They know Riley Leonard's weaknesses. They know his strengths. This is a perfect scenario for Texas A&M to get off to a great start. Plus, they're playing at home. We know that place goes nuts. I think this is going to be a domination in the trenches by A&M. You're only getting it -2.5. Some places are at 3. Great line here from FanDuel. Let's take it.
I wish I could join that with you. I love Elko. I hate Texas A&M. I can't play them until they prove me wrong. Another team that I hate, Brad, who impressed me last week, Nevada +9.5 at Troy. We're both high on SMU. You mentioned they didn't get off the bus. They look bad. But I'm curious to see how much of them looking the way that they looked was rust or maybe not living up to expectations and pressure and all of those things. Or maybe Nevada is just a little bit better than we thought. And I certainly think that Troy is a worse football team than SMU. I think that Nevada has some positive momentum, being able to look around and go, we were in that game all the way to the end. We were supposed to lose that thing by 30 points. And I think that they can maybe even go on the road here and get a victory. I'm comfortable at +9.5 here. I would love another point just to get me over that 10 number. But if Nevada looks the way they looked last week, they're winning the football game. And I'm okay. I have no data to go off of other than that. So that's where I'm at.
Well, Troy lost a ton of players too. I mean, their coach heads down and takes over Tulane. It was a mass exodus. So, I mean, Nevada looked much better. I agree with you. Their quarterback looked way better than I expected.
Yeah, well,
I was
what the
impressed.
hell was that about, dude?
That was crazy. All right, final 2 for me. I'm going back to the island, baby. Hawaii +14.5, -120 on FanDuel against UCLA. Listen, Hawaii looked bad. Like, they should have stomped Delaware State. Delaware State was having troubles getting out there. This wasn't a buttoned-up program, but here's the reason why I'm buying into the Rainbow Warriors on the island in this one. Timmy Chang, the legend, already talked about how they were sitting on plays. They weren't showing everything. Now, UCLA, after, Deshaun Foster, is anybody buying into what the hell he's selling after we saw him at Big Ten Media Days? I know that might be a little overblown, but holy smokes. Power ratings say that this game should be 11.25 or 14.35. Either way, that's a tiny edge in the favor of Hawaii, or even a field goal edge in the favor of Hawaii. I think the bad weather played a huge role in how they performed against Delaware State. I actually think that might help them in this game where, they had to do other things and they were expecting to win that football game. Maybe they're a little bit more prepared in this one. And I think they're going to be able to throw the ball unlike expected. And then, Tyson, this offense, Hawaii's got a ton of players back. This offense ready to roll. UCLA on defense only has 38.3% back of their returning tackles. I think this could be a track meet for Hawaii if everything goes right.
You can't get burned twice. We know that.
I can't. All right, finishing out here. I'm going to go James Madison. They're -8.5 here against Charlotte. Now, Tyson, I am nervous about this one. Kirk Cignetti is gone. He took a lot of players with him, but they bring in Bob Chesney. And that dude, Kirk Cignetti said Google him. Bob Chesney can say the same thing, man. Like, he's a winner. He's a winner. Now, I would be concerned with the quarterback situation if they didn't bring in Dylan Morris. He used to be a starter at the University of Washington. Now, on the flip side, Tyson, Charlotte's coach, frickin' Biff Chogi, he said that they're missing like half their starters on offense and defense. I don't know if I'm falling for the trap here. Like, they could be, that meme, the call an ambulance for not for me. Like, that could be me after this game, because I think I just fell into the all-time trap. But the fact this is 8.5 is insane to me. I think James Madison's better. The fact that it is at this number, below double digits, I think we got a great line here if we can be believing the coach of Charlotte. So give me James Madison -8.5.
And I have some breaking news here for you, Brad.
Okay.
Colorado still can't stop the pass. We can't stop the big play. We'll get out of here after all those picks. If you want any more picks from us, they'll be in the Discord app. The group name is I Said What I Said. It's college football season. It's NFL season. We are getting into kind of the thick of the betting season here. Let's just win a house. Can somebody put together a first touchdown scorer parlay in an NFL early morning slot on week 1 that we can all celebrate $200,000 tickets with? That sounds good to us. We'll let you right in. It's free. And shoot, by the end of the night, Brad and I might be playing the North Dakota State Colorado over. This thing is 14-10 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter.
All right, like, subscribe, and share the show, guys. You know the drill. What we're going to do going forward, this will be the last time I explain it, because I know we're trying to get quick hitters on this, but these are just going to be about the picks. We're going to come in here on late in the week, every single week, give out our picks, and we're going to move on early in the week. That's where we break down everything on the NFL side and the college football side. Like, you want to know what we think about what the hell just happened in a crazy, wonky college football weekend? Go and check it out next week. That'll be our first episode coming to you about what just happened in week 1. So that's why you got to stay subscribed. We got a ton of content coming out for you. If you can do it on the way out, smash that like button if you're listening on YouTube. And we will hope you guys have a great week. Hopefully we hit some winners here on week 1. We'll talk to you next week, guys. Till then, peace.